Hello friends, welcome to ICRA Technology. Let us learn about for loop today. So what is for loop? For loop is a loop which works on sequence or sequence such as list, tuple, dictionary, set, string, any sequence. For list it will access element one by one. Same for the tuple. For string it will access element character by character, and this is how we can access each element and iterate over it. So let's see this better with an example. First we will see the standard for loop to iterate over a sequence. So let's take list first. List 1 is equals to, I'll put some random elements 1 2 3 4 5 6, and now I want to access each element one by one and print them. So how we can do that is for let's just take lm, or I'll write completely element in list 1, print element. So what I've done here is what this element represents. This element variable is something we created. So this element variable will iterate over each element of list one by one. So for the first iteration it will take the first value and it will print it, then it will go to the second value on the second iteration and then it will print it, and so on till the end of the list. It will keep printing all each value one by one. Okay, you can also call it as iterative variable, which means it will iterate over the entire list one by one. So let's run the program and see all the elements of the list are getting printed. So that's how standard for loop works. Now we have range function. What range function does is it is used to set range. Okay, so that you can tell the for loop that you have to run from this range till this range. So range function takes three parameter, out of which one is compulsory and the other two are optional. So the start parameter is optional. If you will not specify any start parameter, it will by default take the start parameter as 0. But if you will specify the start parameter, it will take that start parameter. Okay, then we have stop parameter. Stop parameter is a compulsory parameter. Okay, you have to give it, or even if you are not giving any other parameter, you have to give the stop parameter to tell the loop where to stop, or else it will go in infinite loop, right? Then we have step. Step is like how many step you want to take from the start. So suppose I want to go from 1 to 3, so I want to take two steps, right? 1 then 3 then 5 7. So that's what we define here. Okay, this is also optional. If you will not give any value, it will by default take 1. Okay, so let's see how to use this. Now suppose I want to print number from like 1 to 5. So what I will do, for I in range, I is again an iterative variable. So I want my range to start from 1 and end on 5. So if I want the range to end on 5, I have to give it 6 because it will go till 5 only. It will not include the 6. So if I'll give 5, then it will go till 4 only and it will not include 5. Okay. And if I'll write one more, suppose I want to print uh, only one steps. Okay, so this is optional. If you'll not give any value, it will by default take 1, but for explaining I have written it. Now let's print, or let's take the value till 10. Okay, so I'm writing 11 so that it can print till 10, and now I will print the value of I, and you can see what I'm doing. See, it's printing 1 to 10. Now I only want to print odd numbers. Okay, so how I can print odd numbers is, if I'll take two steps then I will print odd number, right? 1, then 3, 5. So what I will do is I will specify 2 in steps, and let's run it again. See, I have only printed the odd number. Okay, so this is how step works in the range. And now let's see how to work with nested for loop. Nested for loop is nothing but a loop inside a loop. So you can use nested for loop for many reasons, but one of the very common use of nested for loop is in multi-dimensional data. So what is multi-dimensional data? I think I have already explained this. So 2D, let's create a 2D list. Okay, so what is a 2D list? It means list inside the list. Okay, I'll write one, or I will write strings. Okay, A, B, and C. Same way I will make one more list of D, E, F, and let's make one more, G, H, and I. So this is a 2D data, right? This is a list, and there is one more list inside the list. So what is the problem here is you cannot write like a number, as we are breaking the rule. So let's make it list 2D like this. So what I want to do is I want to print the character one by one from this 2D list. So we can do that by using our for loop, but nested for loop. So what I will do is, let's first understand the indexing of nested this list, 2D list, okay, or you can say matrix. So I will show you. This is how indexing works. This horizontal is called as row, and this vertical is called as columns. Okay, so I want row 0 and columns. This is row 0 and this is column 0. So to access the element of row 0 and column 0, we have to give two index, first of row and second of column. See, first of row 0 and second of column is 1. Then first of row is 0, second of column is 2. That means I want to access this value. So this is how indexing works. Okay, this is how you can access any value. So now we will see two ways of doing this. I'll show you first the index way. So to access this A, I have to give as two indexes, which means row 0 and col 0. So let's go with row. For row in range, I want the length of this list to get the length of row, right? Whatever the length of this list will become the length of row. So I'll go with the len of list 2D. Okay, then now I want column. So for col in range, now how the number of elements in the first list. Okay, as this is a matrix, so the number of element in the first list will be same as all the internal lists. Okay, so what I will do is I will write list of 2D of 0. So what I am doing is I am giving the length of this list, okay, in col, and this list in rows. Now what I want to do is I want to print the value of row and column one by one. Okay, so what I will do is list, first we will write print statement, print list of 2D of row and col. Okay, so what will happen here is it will start with 0, okay, and go till the length of list 2D, which is 3 in our case, right? And here so what value we will get here is 0 and 3. As we have not specified anything for the start, it will automatically take 0. We will get 0 and 3. So it will go inside and it will see another loop. Okay, so it will take 0 and 3 again, as the length of the internal list is 3 also, right? So it here in list 2D we will again get 3. Then first it will start with 0 0, so it will print this element. Then it will go on 0 1, then it will print this element. Then it will go on 0 2, then it will print this element. So let's print and see. I will print this in one line only. End is equals to, I will give some space. Okay, now let's print it and see. Okay, list object cannot be interpreted as integer. We are getting some error. Let's solve this. Okay, I'm so sorry. I have to use len function here to get the length, as I have directly provided it list, so it's throwing error. Okay, so this is how you can solve the error. Now let's run it. See, it's printing all the values one by one. First 0 0, then 0 1, 0 2, 1 0, 1 1, 1 2, then 2 0, 2 1 and 2 2. Okay, this is the way of accessing values with index. Now you can do it again, as this is list, you can access element by element also. Now this way is this way is used when you want to access it by index. But if you have no role of index and you just want to print the value, then you can simply go like for row in list 2D, which means it will take the element of this list one by one. Okay, it will first take this element, then second it will take this element, then third it will take this element. Okay, so it is taking the element one by one. And now for call in row, then as I want to print single element of this list one by one, so now as suppose you have taken the first list in the row variable, now it will take the first element of first list in call and print it, then second, then print it, then third, then print it. They both will produce same output only, but that is based on indexing, and this one is you can say based on the sequence. So let's print call. Okay, and I want it to be printed in one line, so I'll write this and let's run our program. See, it's producing the same output. It looks bit simpler, but it is used in the use case where you have to use the sequence, where you do not have any complex operations on matrix. But when you have complex operations, then you have to use the index way. So learning both way is very important. Now let's see how for loop works with a string. Okay, we have seen like list, sequence and 2D list. Let's see how it works on string. Let me take a string. Okay, string str is equals to what string I'll take? Let's take hello world. Okay, or hello. Okay, just take hello, and I want to print each character of string on a new line. So how can I do that? Is for c in s. Okay, now not s, sorry, it's strg, as we want to print each character of string. So I'll write this and I'll print c. Now you can see it's printing all the characters one by one. This is how you can do it using string. Now let's see. Now see, let's see list comprehension. Okay, so this is very handy process where this is very important. Okay, and very handy also, because sometimes where you want to do like you can say string to list conversion or list to string conversion, or you do not have very complex task, you want the for loop to end in one line, you can use list comprehension there. So how to use a list comprehension? You have to define a variable, and in square bracket you have to provide, suppose let's suppose I have a string. Okay, I'll again give it hello, and I want each character of string to be an element of a list. Okay, so how can we do that is C for C in strg. So what it will do is it will take H and make it one element of list, then it will take E and make it one element of list, L one element of list. Let's see this by printing the list. Okay, see, this is a simple thing. So we do not need to write like 3 to 4 line of for loop and define the range and everything, then convert it. We can simply do it using list comprehension. See, here I have like printed each character as an element of list. Now suppose, okay, I have a list. I already have a list. This I taught this from string to list, right? I have a list 1, okay, and 2 and 3 and 4 and 5. Okay, this is the list 1, and what I want from list is I want to print squares. Okay, squares of these numbers. So how can we do that? This is very simple. You have to write x, uh, the simple way of doing it is x for x in li. Okay, so what here we are doing, we are taking one element of this list and adding it into this list, then one element of this list and adding it into this list, one element of this list and adding it into this list. This is what we are doing. Okay, the way we do it manually, we are taking one element, adding to this, second element, adding to this, third element, adding to this, fourth element, adding to the new list. So what I want to do is I want to produce squares. What I can see, how can we make squares? Simply by multiplying two number with each other, or you can use exponential also, like x raised to 2. And then now I will print squares list. I will print li as well as I will print square for better understanding. Okay, so you will understand what happened now. Let me clear this. And see, this was our original list and we have squared the number and printed it, and we have done this using only one line. Now what happened when we write normal for loop, we have to write 4 to 5 line of code for this operation only, which can be done simply using the list comprehension process. So this is how list comprehension works. Now let's quickly revise what we have learned till now. First, for loop on a sequence, you can iterate with for loop on a sequence, right? And second thing, we have it range. So you can use for loop to work with a range. Range function takes 3 parameter, out of which 2 are optional and 1 is compulsory. So start parameter is optional. If you will provide the value of start parameter, it will start the loop from there, else it will take by default 0 as start. Then we have stop parameter. Stop parameter is compulsory, you must provide the value of stop parameter, then it will stop at whatever value you will provide at stop parameter. Then we have step. Step is again an optional parameter, and if you will not provide any value, it will by default take 1 as step, but if you provide it the value, it will take that number as step. Okay, so this is range function, and this is how you can use range function. Now nested for loops. Nested for loop, you can use you can perform operation on matrix using nested for loop. Nested for loop is nothing but a for loop inside a for loop. Okay, so let's see how matrix works. So matrix has rows and columns. Rows which is denoted horizontally, columns are denoted vertically, this way vertically. So if you want to access the first element, you have to give the row index and columns index. So the row index of first element is 0 and column index is 0. Then if you want to access the second element of first row, then you have to give 0 1, as indexing starts from 0. This is how indexing works in a 3 by 3 matrix. You can have 2 by 2 matrix or n by n matrix. The indexing will remain same and get increasing. Okay, so now we have like for loop with else. Okay, we missed this. For loop with else is after the loop completes its execution, the else statement will run once only. Okay, so here you can see it's printing the I till 3, so it will print 0 1 2, and at last this else block will run for once, so it will print loop finished. Okay, now next we have is list comprehension. As I showed you the list comprehension example, when you have like small function to perform and you want to create a new list out of the existing list or sequence or anything, so you can use list comprehension in that purpose to avoid multiple lines of codes. Then yeah, that's all about today's video. Thank you.